We're recording now. Those of you on the internet and elsewhere, hi. It's going to be a little awkward just seeing myself. Those of you in the room, thanks for signing up. So this is a seminar on college admissions strategy that I've done over the last 5 years. So to talk about why I'm giving this seminar, or not seminar, but this module. About 10, 12 years experience counseling people on college admissions. And I've worked with people on debaters from the West and East Coast. I work with undergraduates, I work with people getting them into top 3 business schools, top 3 law schools, top 3 medical schools. And folks I've worked with have gone to Stanford, Wharton, Yale Law, everywhere you can imagine. Myself, as many of you know my story, as a lower ninth ward kid, and the projects. When I was the first one to go to college in my family. Others had gone but not graduated. And a lot of things I'm talking about here I had to learn on my own, although my high school was pretty amazing. They did everything they could for me in terms of being a graduate counselor, etc. But what I focus on a lot of is how to market what you do and how to figure out your resume so that you give yourself the best shot. In terms of my own situation, the schools that rejected me were Harvard and MIT, but I got full ride to Stanford, engineering, Rice, what have you. So I got into a lot of big schools. And a whole bunch of scholarships too, and then got into Yale and UCLA as full ride scholarships and some stuff. So how does all this happen? I think for me, one of the things that was very challenging was that I have a very complicated story that doesn't fit a lot of narratives. I was not a 4.0 student. The SAT was my version of hell. I did not get even at the 1400 level. And I asked myself, how do I explain my weird life and situation so that other people can connect to it, so that people on the admissions community can get a glimpse of who I am to the point where they think that I'm valuable. A lot of the work I've done with students, particularly debaters, is on helping you figure that out. Now, again, kind of like my last module, I'm a little nervous about this being recorded because I'm going to say a lot of things that are hyper controversial. I'm not going to be politically correct. I'm going to say things that your parents are going to be angry with. But I'm going to say them out of love and concern for your welfare so that you can actually get in these places. I'm going to tell them a hard line truth. Those are the rules. I'm going to be completely radical candor time. I'm not going to tell you what your parents want to do. So that starts now. The first part of this is the framework, so to speak. How do we think from a college's point of view? So think about it. Think about the fact that most people are unknown entities. Like your parents would never allow some random person to go in your home, right, and meet you. Why? Well, what would they have to fear? They're told not to take anything from strangers. Why? You can shout it out. Why are they dangerous? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. And what don't you know? Because, and you can guess what those intentions could be, right? This is how colleges think of you. and not you personally, but just you as a student. Because as people, we all come with our own baggage. And I can say, you can have a 4.0, but be a total and utter disaster. I've seen undergraduates who have perfect scores, were Lily, each whatever, and everyone said they were great, but they had psychological issues, they had drug problems, they were terrible people to other individuals. Professors would hate them because they would disrupt the class. Colleges don't know who you are, right? You are no different than some random person on the street coming to their campus where you could be a nice person and shoot up the place. Again, radical candor time. They don't know. And by the way, if you're at UT Austin, this is not mere theory. This is happening, right? So you have to understand it from the college's point of view that you are an unknown entity. And you have to give them comfort that you're going to be added to their environment and not subtracted. You're not going to be a problem. So the college admissions process, the first goal of it is to vet. That's why they ask for teacher recommendations. They want to know people who they can trust, that's important, who are authorities in evaluating you as a person and as talent for their universities. They want objective sources. The word objective is a little problematic, but they want sources that can tell them, hey, this person can be reliable. Hey, this person's awesome. this person will make you look great. As an extension of that, consider the fact that you are brand ambassadors when you join a campus. So downstairs, right, you see a whole bunch of UCLA kids in new student orientation, right? They were all chosen because UCLA felt that they could be good brand ambassadors for the college. Quite literally, universities are businesses for whom their students are their first brand ambassadors. So when you wear a Harvard, UCLA, or Duke lanyard in your orientation, I can tell you the admissions committee made the decision that you are an ambassador for them. You are the next Oprah Winfrey, perhaps. You are the next Intel Science winner. You are the next alumnus who will make them proud, who will build that brand. Now, this is very different from what your parents and your friends tell you about college admissions. Think about it. Colleges are fully responsible for your behavior. If you become the next Unabomber, they're going to say, you went to Harvard, or if you were a Harvard student. And that sullies the brand, right? If you're that person who commits assault on people, and you went to Stanford, my alma mater, the first thing they're going to say on the news, this Stanford student did X, right? Now I'm being kind of like this blunt with you, because I want to get it in your heads what these admissions officers are thinking, right? They want to have comfort about who you are, and they want to know that you will contribute. This is the opposite of what we're often taught. We're told that colleges want the best of the best. They want the top students. They want the people who have the most merit. I don't hear the word merit, I vomit. And that's completely the opposite. Colleges are not particularly interested in who has the highest grades, the SATs, or who your schools think are the best students. They don't care. They don't care. Why? Remember what I just said. They want great brand ambassadors who contribute to the class and who will make the field proud. And I agree with them. What does this have to do with you? First, it defines your goal. The job of you when you're doing college admissions is to market your best self. That may not be the same person who your teachers will see, who your friends will think are cool, who will conform to the community culture, who will be student body president. That's not the same thing. Because colleges are thinking about their brand in the real world and not thinking about their brand in your high school. So I work with students who are not considered the creme de la creme of certain Northern California schools. I won't name them. But they got into schools like Gordon, or were others who had higher scores and were considered the prim and proper best students who did everything right. Why? Because colleges are most interested in leveraging your strengths. There's a language we use for career development called peaking. Spiking or peaking. So what often happens, particularly at high levels of getting high scholarships or high universities, but they want to find are people who have one or two peaks in one or two strengths, normally that don't go together. So if you're a 3.5 student with okay test scores, but I'm going to be a nerd for a moment. How many of you have ever heard of the EVO tournament, the fighting game tournament? Oh, I'm really a nerd. Well, it's a national competition among people who are like the experts at like Street Fighter or Super Smash Brothers, those games. If you win that tournament at 17 years old, you're probably getting into Harvard pretty quickly. Why? They're like fighting games. My parents would laugh at me. I only like spend all my time playing fighting games. That's the point, right? Because colleges want to see you demonstrate that you can do things that other people can't do. We'll get into why in a moment. But when you think about how to market yourself, ask yourself the question, what makes me different from every other person with the same numbers, and the same rank, and the same test scores? Why? Stanford University, about 7 years ago, I may get the timing wrong, the Dean of Admissions wrote an article in the Stanford Alumni Association talking about admissions. And he said the following: if I took every student who had a 4.0 GPA or a perfect SAT, I would fill this campus 4 times over. That's a campus of 1,600 people. He will get fired if he takes every student with perfect scores. Why do you think that is? I mean, capital F, Trump fired at The Apprentice. Why would a dean of admission get fired for doing that? What do you think? Okay. And
It causes the common law and the other one.
yeah. He can't take any more people than he can hold. Diversity, elaborate.
Like we don't want everyone different people like that. We don't want everybody next. Like they don't want somebody who's only that they're all good in maybe like school, or they don't want a bunch of people that are going to be the next best engineer. They want to build a race with all sorts of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Different different backgrounds and all of those entail probably different languages and skill.
Absolutely. This is why you see Berkeley almost remove the SAT as a requirement. It's scared the living hell out of the educational testing system that creates the SAT and the ACT. Scared them. Right? They changed the test and changed the PSAT. Why? This very argument. People are finding out that your GP, the difference between a 3.9 and a 4.2 isn't that high in terms of actual value that you contribute to an employer or to a college. Just isn't. So I worked with a lot of parents, particularly when I was in Northern California, who tell me, my student's such a terrible student. Like, I'm expecting a 2.7. They're like, he only has a 3.92. I'm like, oh dear God. They're thinking, oh my God, we can max out the test score and you can max out the GPA. So if you don't have the highest thing, you're going to be homeless. And I will just tell them, you're not allowed to participate in my counseling your child. I ban them. I'm kidding. I ban them. Because there's a term that we often use, diminishing returns. So when you look at the analyses of the SAT and the ACT and GPAs, the marginal difference is not very high. Business schools like Harvard and Stanford know this perfectly. Harvard used to brag, we'll take a C-level student. Harvard Business School, the #1 business school in the globe. Why? Because that C student may be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Right? You know, the point was made, right? They don't want to take people of a certain kind of like ability, right? The SAT does a terrible job in measuring how well you're going to be great at writing a 20-page term paper for a professor in a seminar. They're not the same thing. One English professor proved this. English professor like knew this test and said, you know, he did an experiment where he had people, he saw what those kind of essays got perfect scores in SAT writing. He identified the common traits, which were pretty terrible writing. Like the things you have to do to get a 6 on that test in the essay, you would fail your freshman writing class. Like things like word count and bad structure, what have you. And he actually had students try to hack the system and saw, hey, if you do these bad writing practices that have nothing to do with college writing, you're more likely to get a high score. It embarrassed the heck out of the SAT. It's examples like that, that there's a distinction between the metrics that we use to measure your performance in high school and the competencies you have to do in college. So what college admissions care about is this stuff, right? Are you a good writer? Can you be controversial and say the controversial point in class? Are you too afraid? Are you a conformer, right? Are you going to be the one who creates new ideas and makes the university proud and gets publications? Those are two very different things. So this is why, like, when I work with parents, I ban them from micromanaging. I ban them from helicopter. Ban. And I say B-A-N, ban. I tell them, you need to stay out of this because your freaking out has nothing to do with what the admissions officers do. And I've worked with and talked to a lot of admissions officers. So how do we do this? So I'm going to make another controversial point. And I'm going to steal this point from Cal Newport. You can see his work online. He's a smart guy. I would buy almost every book he has on college admissions and study. He has a blog called Study Hacks. I strongly recommend you read it. Read through the archives. We have a book called like How to Be an A+ Student, How to Be a High School Superstar. I would get those 2 books and read them right after this. What he found, it was exactly what I found. The most successful people are often the most relaxed and have the most balanced life. Like the people who get into the top schools. There are exceptions. Why? Because colleges want to know that you can handle freedom. So when you're in college, you're not going to be able to take 8 clubs. Every club's going to take a lot of time. Your classes are going to be really hard. How do you manage yourself? Whereas in high school, you're managed, and you have to obey things. You have to do things like binder checks. You get worksheets that you're given points for. You have all this busy work. When you're in a college class, they're going to say, there's no extra credit. They're going to say, I don't care how nice your 3-ring binder is. They're just going to say, give me the paper. It's 40% of your grade, and that's it, right? So people who can learn how to manage themselves and adapt to that environment do really well. In other words, they want people who are self-driven and who manage themselves. It's the opposite of high school culture, which is all often about obedience. So how can you demonstrate that you're able to manage yourself? How can you identify what's important to you without someone breathing down your neck? And what are these competencies? So that's what we're going to get into now. The first point to remind you of is that colleges want the best class, not the best people. There's repeating. Colleges want the best class, not the best people. So all the anti-affirmative action rhetoric, like we need to have people who are the most qualified, colleges laugh at me. That's a dumb argument. I'm not going to be nice about that. Because college admissions, you will hear this, I promise you, on your first day in college, if you're going to go, right? Admissions officers will get them saying, Chris, you are the leaders of America. You are the best of the best among you. There's 3 gold medal winners. You speak 15 languages. You come from all 50 states. You are an Intel superstar, science winner. You are a guitarist who played with Metallica. And they'll go on and on and on. Why? Because their leaders of admission are evaluated on the best class. They'll tell you this in YouTube videos and articles. They will say, we want individuals who will contribute the most, quote, to the campus community. This is not who has the best SAT score. This is not who's the most popular in their school. This is not who follows all the rules and always conforms to culture. Often those two things are different. Therefore, there's no one metric of qualification. So I've been bashing grades and SATs, and I'll continue to do so. My argument is not that these things don't matter. They do matter. But they matter as a binary thing, not a continuum. By that I mean, it's do you get a score that's high enough to be in the running? Not do you get the best score. The reason for this is a statistics term, margin of error. If you hit a 800 per test, right, in 3 tests, if you get 700s or 750s on every test, you might as well stop. Because after that, the next 50 points are within the margin of error. Whether or not I get a 770 or 780 has nothing to do with your intellectual ability. It often has to do with the questions you got, how do you rank against other people, what version of the test did you get, how difficult was it, were you sick, whatever. Right? So colleges aren't going to say, oh, you only got a 750, not a 770, reject. They're not going to say that. Particularly if other things about you that other person with a higher test scores can't get. This is why in affirmative action, a lot of minorities do really well. It's not because of racist prejudice. It's because they often spike or have strengths in other places that can't be found. So if you're an African-American debater who's poor, who got to the TOC, who teachers say is one of the smartest, most intellectual philosophers in the next 10 years, then you can have a 600 on that SAT and no one cares. Because you have 4 spikes. You have things that will contribute to a campus community that can't be found elsewhere. The point here is that when you think about your college admission strategy, ask yourself the question, how can I make myself that person that the admissions office will say, if we let them go, we are going to never get this back. This is someone who's really special. Let me give you an example that I saw on a YouTube video. West Point. White female, high test scores, teachers say she's great, she's a jock, and she was the captain of her team. What's the spike? It was a male sports team. The whole admission was like, except. Why? Spike, 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 spike. Female sports or high scores and that extra sauce. She was identified as the captain of a male sports team. How the heck did that happen? That's the response you want to get out of people. How did that happen? Now, Newport calls this the superstar effect. or rather, the unintended superstar effect. No, I didn't say who your parents think are superstars. I didn't say who your teachers say are superstars. I say the unintended superstar. What's impressive is not how hard you work at something. It's not how many hours you put in. It's, can I explain how you did that? Recall the fighting game example. People who do well in those tournaments are like in their 20s. I saw a guy who was 11 years old who got to the final 32. He got sponsorship. He played fighting games. That kid's getting into a top school because it's unintended. You can't figure out, you can't imagine how they did what they did. So strategy is when you think if you're a senior, there's only so much you can do, which are learning about marketing. But if you're earlier, I'm glad you're here because we can have a conversation about how can you market yourself and what you do. You do things that others won't do. For example, if you're that person who has cold called 100 companies to start your own business, because I can't imagine a high schooler doing that, right? Just try to find things that are just unusual, that are impressive, but that can't be explained. The next thing. If the criteria is contributing to the campus community, how do we do this? But before I get into that, I want to give you the image of a college admissions counselor on Friday night. They have a stack of essays, fist thick, literally, of like 200 people. They have to read all of them on their Friday nights. They're not going out. They're not having fancy food. They're not getting drinks. They have to go through the stack of essays and pick 10 students. So what happens when an essay is boring? And by boring, I mean typical. One woman on her book, Admissions Confidential, I recommend you all read it, Rachel Toor, T-O-O-R. She goes through an expose of Duke University and its admissions policies. And she explains this. Right? When you want to get accepted, what you got to do is connect with a human being who's going to read your file. So step one is have the numbers and do all the things right. You got to do that. Step two, have something about yourself that connects with a human being who's reading your essay. I've been on the other side of this. For those of you talking about AmeriCorps and like the Brexit Collaborative, I was an admissions officer. I had to read students' essays to get into this program. And I'll tell you, if you have to read that many essays, your brain fries at essay 40. If it's 1 a.m. and you're asleep and people tell you that their favorite book is Pride and Prejudice, the 80 billionth time, your brain's gonna shut off. So when you're writing essays, write things that you care about. But you need to do two things. One, do normal things exceptionally. Two, do exceptional things that no one else can do. That bears repeating. Do normal things exceptionally, or do exceptional things that no one else can do. So, if I ask you a question, Duke loves this question, what's your favorite book? You can write Pride and Prejudice, but for God's sake, say different things that are about you as a person. Make better analysis, be more specific. Don't give the answer that everyone else feels is comfortable. You raise your hand? Yeah.
I was remembering that I read it. My mom was reading this book where she was saying that like this person who didn't have really like anything completely great just wrote an essay about herself saying how she related herself to seashells and potatoes. Mm-hmm. And she got into Stanford.
Yeah. So. But it's not because she wrote about seashells and potatoes. It had to be a pretty good essay.
Yeah, it was really good.
Because what colleges are looking for is what they call, quote, mature insight. Can you think deeply? Can you come up with ideas that make sense and is it really good writing? Right? Am I going to have that sense saying, how could a 17-year-old write this? Now, qualifier, don't pay people to write your essays. They can tell. That's bad, that's cheating, that's lying, and you can get in a lot of trouble. Don't do that, you don't have to. But what I mean here is, that's a good example, right? Something that's different or something that's typical that's done well. So in my case, my essay was about, when I was asked, what's your favorite book? An unusual book. It's called Oxford Tale that I read in English. about a black man who in the 19th century was, in the 17th century was passing as a slave or to pass as either a slave or a white, and the struggles he felt in both races, having to pass and not belonging to either. So my essay was, hey, that's my life right now. I go to a white school that's Jewish, a white Jewish school, love them. And I think during the day, and I go back to the projects, and I don't belong in either world. And this character is someone I recognize. And when I went to Duke for the final round interview for the Fulbright scholarship, they brought that up. It's an unusual story, but had to be well written. Next thing. Consider the fact that there is no such thing as qualified, or there's no such thing as merit. If this goes on YouTube, people are going to hate my guts for saying this, but they can deal with it. The reason is that what is the best person is a latent factor. Latent means hidden. You can't define what is the best student. Doesn't happen. Several reasons. One, there's no one metric. There aren't even 4 metrics. All these things you do in the college admission cycle are just approximations of what they're guesses that college is doing, the data points, that they combine them all together. So often colleges do what they call a holistic assessment, which means they will take all this data and then make a decision. So, and the reason they do that is because they're trying to guess, they're trying to predict who's the next Oprah Winfrey, who's the next Maya Angelou, who's the next, female astronaut, who's the next Nobel Prize winner. There's no easy way to figure that stuff out. It's as hard as trying to figure out who's going to win the Super Bowl based on football statistics. Second point, and this is really nasty, but no one cares what you deserve. There is no such thing as dessert in the college admissions process. It's the same thing as in the employment process. I'll tell you, when you go for a job, you often, you'll think, I deserve this because I have this many years of experience. What do businesses ask themselves? Are you a good cultural fit? Do you belong in our culture? Are you going to add to our community? It's the same thing that they do in colleges. So dessert is not part of the conversation. What do colleges care about instead? Here are a few values. Independence. What do you do by yourself? Of your own initiative. What do you do when you don't have to obey other people? This is a valuable value for colleges because you've been living in these dorms for almost 2 weeks, right? Yeah, maybe I just 7 attendance checks, but I don't know what you're doing every minute of the day. I have to trust that you're not going to go and try to bust one of the water pipes out there, which actually did happen in another camp. Another debate camp, not VBI. Colleges don't know, you're going to be going to dorms like this, hanging out with people late at night, and your resident advisors aren't going to be watching what you do. No one's going to be there to make you study. No one's going to be there to make sure you do all your work. So if you're not independent and self-driven, you're a whole bunch of trouble for a college. So things that demonstrate your ability to do things that are not tied to your parents, that are not tied to the school are really impressive. For example, if you are looking for things that are awards, apply to things of your own initiative. Apply to essay contests, apply to speech contests. It shocks me how many debaters could win thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars if they applied to scholarships like the National Legion. And they would tear those tournaments apart, but they won't do it. You all have the skills as debaters to win these kind of contests, and then on to the superstar. This is a debater who won $18,000 as a national champion of an oratorical contest. How did they do that? That gets you into college. But debaters won't do it, right? So doing those kinds of things go a long way to try to make yourself look like you have multiple spikes. Another value is self-awareness. Knowing who you are, the good and the bad. Here's a little nasty hint for you. When colleges are asking for teacher recommendations, teachers will tell the colleges how self-aware are you, how mature are you, how intellectually sophisticated are you. Are you that person who leads by example? Are you that person that helps the bullied kid? Are you that person who cares more about the material than the grades? Those are the things that teachers are telling college admissions officers. There's a reason you don't get to see the letters, right? Because the colleges are looking at your recommendation letters as people to vet. Remember the example I gave you. Before a stranger can come into your home, your parents have to talk to the people to make sure that they're on the level. That's what teacher recommendations are for. So how do you get good teacher recommendations? Demonstrate self-awareness, high degrees of maturity, intellectual sophistication. Don't just say what gets the good grade. Say things that the teacher's going to be like, oh, he really cares about the material. Do extra research. Work after hours with teachers. Form interpersonal relationships with teachers. I emphasize that last point. Interpersonal relationships with teachers. I tell the people I work with, who I counsel, I need you to find 3 teachers who love you. I mean the word love, by the way. Teachers who want to talk to you after you graduate. 3 teachers. At Duke, according to Rachel Tour, you have, when you're getting scored, well, Duke does this, Yale does this, almost every school does this. In the first pass, they'll have 2 or 3 people who will read your application. If you're a person of a minority background, another person has a double check, and they'll rate you to see whether or not you can even get past the first cut, the first like 9% cut. At Duke, they may have changed it. They'll have a score for testing at about 5. 5 means you're badass, and 1 means you're all up. So essays, resume, and this is not exact, but it's directly correct. Grades or like curriculum difficulty, and something else. What they want to see are people who are like high here on the right, the qualitative metrics, right? Sorry, the quantitative metrics of merit, and score high here. So people who are like 2, 2, 5, 5, 5, maybe a wait list. Why? Okay, you're great at being obedient. How do I know you can actually write for a professor who's a Nobel Prize winner? How do I know you can get published? How do I know that you'll be the one who start a new club or new organization that gets us on the news and makes us seem better? But people who are like 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, they'll get in with a scholarship. Why? The other parts, the parts that measure what you do. This is a person who's a phenomenal writer, who's a self-starter. They'll be the one who leads sexual assault training fraternities on campuses. They'll be the one who professors will write publishable papers with. They'll be the future PhD students, even though they're lower here. So get the grades and do the superstar stuff that people don't expect. Another reason this matters, again, remember the college admissions officer I told you about at 1 a.m. Your essay needs to be written in a way so that someone who's dead tired, imagine yourself in calculus class with the teacher being boring, and you wake them up. You say something that connects to them. For example, students I work with, one person who got into Stanford wrote their essay on pillow fighting. Asian American male, math and science guy. Got it like that. Eventually became an MIT PhD student. Why? Because they're spiking here. Great at math and science, Asian American in Northern California, and has demonstrated some degree of interpersonal ability and skill, and that he values that. Stanford loves, for example, people who are multidimensional. That's the term we use. Another student, same school, female, did a lot of work on sexual assault, and was a sculptor, and was a top 50 debater. Spike, 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 gets an exam. Over people who have better scores and SATs. So ask yourself the question, what do you do that allows you to spike? And there are various ways you can do that. So let's get into those various ways. So I'm talk a lot about theory. Let's get into the tactics, and then I'll use like 5 minutes or so for questions. First, activities, the resume. The first rule here is that it's better to be exceptional with 2 or 3 things than 10. It's not impressive that you sign up that you just walk in for 10 different clubs and you're leaders of 6. What that tells a college is that, well, you're not really doing any value. You're just getting a bunch of resume boosting. But you create your own club and it gets exposure your local exposure, if you're in the newspaper of your town, that goes a long way. That tells a college, hey, there's someone objective saying this person's a badass. In my own story, when I did essay contests that the AP history students thought they were too busy to do. So when I did one on like the British, the American Revolution, I got $200, which I was poor, I needed the money, and I was featured in the Times Picayune of New Orleans. And my college counselor at Newman, like Black Close Soul, told me, put that in your application. Show the clipping on the newspaper. He was exactly right. Because that's the unintended superstar effect. How did this poor black kid get in the paper, the Times Picayune? And then it starts, right? So do a few things really well and be the best at it. Another rule here is that level of exposure is really important. You want other people to quote unquote co-sign you, to say, hey, this person is locally or nationally known for this. They are the superstar at this. One student I worked with, he had an admissions essay that got him to Columbia, where he was a Latino individual, super, super poor. He went to, he was around a bunch of elitist kids who didn't think he was all that cool. But, he was voted, this was an academic camp that I worked for, he was voted as the most outstanding student among a whole bunch of private school kids. He was an Eagle Scout, and at his Eagle Scout ceremony, he was so impactful in his community that 250 to 300 people attended his ceremony. And that was in the essay. That's in the Columbia with the forerunner. So maximize your exposure as much as you can, and you need to do the work, right? If that means you write op-eds to the newspaper, write them. If that means you advertise to your teachers what you're doing, do it. My high school coach, Greg Mouse, who I love to death, he was awesome at this. Every time I would even break, he would go in front of the auditorium and say, this person did this, and out of X number of students, which then helped me get better letters of recommendation, because now the teachers are saying, this person may be a B+ student in English, but maybe I should reconsider how I grade them, because they have other people who are experts evaluating their ability. So exposure and depth of achievement in your activities. Essays. I tell people the goal of essays is to capture the reader's attention. Bad essays are worried about getting approval. I'll say that again. Bad essays worry about getting approval. I had a student once who wrote an essay that I thought his parents approved of, and I told him, dump the essay, delete the file now. And he said, why are you telling me that? I'm like, come on, dude. You're a little playboy. you have a very interesting romantic life and social life. You are much more engaging than this. Keep it real. Start over. And when he did his essay, he wrote about his family and said very beautiful things I can't even tell you. And that individual got an award over students who thought that he was not the best student. Again, what I said, admissions officers, you need to keep them away, and they're looking for vulnerability. They're looking for things that you say that are cut to the core of who you are. The rule I tell my students is, if you don't feel uncomfortable with your essay, start again. So I see essays all the time saying, I love math and science. I'm like, no, you don't. Your parents told you to say that. Redo the essay. Here, stereotypicality is persuasive. So ask yourself the question, who are you really compared to people who are like you? So if I'm working with African American students, I tell them, don't just tell me you're just a black person. Tell me, what is your racial experience in your particular context and how that impacts you and what you would give to a college? How does that change how you understand a class like humanities? How does that change how you understand debate? How does that change how you understand classism and your experiences on the college campus? So second and third levels of analyses that allow you to get high marks for your grading. Same thing goes for interviews, by the way. One student was an Asian American guy, super cool guy. Very stereotypical. All in hip hop culture, what have you. He was doing interviews for an Ivy League institution, and the other students were getting, and at Yale, well, I'm not going to say any trade secrets, but you are scored on your interviews. And they were just getting average scores. This guy came to me and said, hey, what do I do after today? I'm like, be who you are. Don't hide that. Say what your actual interests are. They're astereotypical. After that person did that interview, let's just say the guy. Because the interviewer told me, hey, this guy's freaking cool. This is the kind of guy we want to hang out with in my dorm. This is the kind of guy that our resident advisor would love. He's the kind of person who would bring people together because he's not afraid of who he is. So the argument here is think about what makes you authentic and sell it. Don't hide it. Last thing is teacher recommendation. So how many of you are seniors? You are. Okay. How many are juniors? Sophomores? Okay. If you're seniors, my advice to you, the moment you get to campus, find 1 or 2 teachers you already know and have them tell them from the beginning. The phrase I would use is, can you write me a strong letter of recommendation? Not, can you write a letter of recommendation, a strong letter. That is code to teachers for saying, I actually care about your opinion. And I want you to be my advocate. I feel that's one of my life concerns. The second thing is, when you ask yourself who to get letters from, getting an A in the class is insufficient. I'm gonna say that again. Getting an A in the class is insufficient. A great teacher could give you a B+ or an A-. What you need from the teacher is that they need to have specific evidence of things you've done that they can say you're one of the best students they've ever had, or there's something special about you. One of my teachers gave me a B+ in history. Who wrote a phenomenal letter. Why? Because he and I worked together on the essay contest. He thought I was a great student. I just had multiple choice questions. Right? He can say, this is a guy with this background that I can't believe he's even at this private school. You want teachers to say things like, this is the best student I've seen in 10 years, and I've worked with 1,000 students at a top private school. And here's why. When they were in class, they said this. They wrote this kind of paper. They did this kind of thing. You want them to be able to say specific things, which is my next tip to you. Keep a portfolio of your work. If teachers love a paper you do or a presentation, you need to keep a portfolio. This is a life lesson, by the way. Keep the papers and their comments. Why? Because when you ask for teacher letter recommendation, I will tell you nothing is more painful to a teacher than to have to sit down and start staring at a blank screen. Nothing sucks more. It sucks as much as you guys feel when a teacher tells you to write a 7-page paper from scratch. So how do you fix that? How do you rate your letter of recommendation? When you ask for a letter of recommendation, you hand them, here's what my essay is. Here's my story. Here's what I'm going for. Here's some things you can talk about that we worked together, things that you said you were like, things that I think were additive. They will love you because you're saving them that work. The point here is that you want to make your advocates as happy as possible so that they feel happy in helping you. So you got to do the front work. And I can promise you, less than 3% of students do this. They just go up to a poor, overworked, underpaid teacher and say, please write my letter of recommendation, and give them no information. Why would you do that to them, right? You want to help your advocates. So if you're a sophomore or junior, start talking to your freshman teachers. Build that relationship. Ask them to help you with various outside projects that you can read on your resume. And to form that personal connection. Go after hours and talk to them. Make sure they know your story. Because this is what you have to do if you want to get a job when you're older, by the way. Want to get a Rose Scholarship? You got to have 8 letters of recommendation. Yes, I said 8. Right? So get started on this process early. All right. I'm going to stop talking here. We have time for like a couple of questions. Anything? Yeah.
Is there anywhere we could find like specific recommendations, like this specific school we're trying to get our application to, or do those not exist?
They don't really exist. Some schools will ask you for like it'll be specific to the subject. Like, you know, my MIT will say I want a science teacher, a math teacher, but most schools don't. So I wouldn't, you don't have to differentiate that much. Ideally, you want to have a wide range, but my argument would be get the best teachers who love you the most. That's priority 1. If you're missing those things, then we need to have a conversation about how we can create that relationship with teachers you already have. Yeah.
So you said that like if you're people or to include that in your application, like where exactly do you include that? In your essays or?
Great question. 2 ways. 1, you can include the physical copy if they allow you. 2, you would tell a teacher what you did, and they can talk about it, which means it has more impact. If you're a bad estimator and teachers don't know about it, what the heck, right? What are you doing? Right, so advertise to your advocates on your own behalf. Other questions? It's your free counseling time. You charge like 50 or 100 for this. Yeah.
So with the letters of recommendation, this is kind of going on what you said. Is there anybody specifically that you think would look better? Like, if I have options of like 4 people that love me, and I have one that's just like my freshman year English teacher, sophomore year like history teacher, or maybe I can get like my assistant principal direct one. Which one? No, assistant principal would be best, so it doesn't really matter.
Quality rules will work. Quality matters more than rule. Now, the assistant principal can write a bomb letter for you. That's ideal. If I had to choose the ones that will make the strongest argument for you. You can have one person from outside of school. Ideally, you probably want that, particularly if you have experiences and things that, if it adds another dimension, right? So if you have someone in debate who's really, really well respected and can speak at a high level of specificity, high level, and just, definitely have them write that letter. But you need at least 2 teachers. But I would say a third outside perspective that's a bomb letter works. Yeah.
So on the specific school I'm looking at, like, they say you can only have letters of recommendation from teachers like the ones that are taught to an academic.
Yeah, that's not.
So that does that mean you only have teachers from like 4 classes, or can you have like a drama teacher?
You have a drama teacher.
Okay.
But that would be like your third letter.
Okay.
You can have a debate teacher. You get taught debate. You can have an art teacher. Because think about what they're asking for when they say a core academic discipline. They're wanting to assess, can you handle yourself in an undergraduate classroom at a high level of intellectual rigor? That's the question. Ask yourself, what's the question that's not being said? Right? Yeah, you have 800 on the SAT writing, but if you can't write for prep, that's what colleges are scared of. So anyone who can add in that dimension, like here's another spike the student has that you're not going to find in the application, that's the person you want to write the letter. So if you're like math, science, and the art teacher thinks that you're the next Dali, right? Or they can talk about a particular sculpture that's like, I can't believe a 17-year-old would do that kind of work. That's your third letter. Yeah, I'll take this the last question. Yeah. It is if you never talk to them again. Remember I said creating that relationship? So it's not too long ago. In fact, it's an advantage. If you're in contact with them and you create projects that you can work on together and you have conversations and you find ways that you work together, then that can be the best letter you can ever find. Because if you create that relationship over 4 years of data, then that person will say, they didn't just get an A in my class, but I've seen this person work over 4 years of consistent performance. Here's 10 things they did. That would be the best letter you can get. But you got to actually create it though. That's the hard part. You got to actually think, this is a teacher I like, they like me. How can we stay in touch? How can we form that relationship? Because here's what the college will see. They'll say, this is the person that will go to a professor and actually take the effort to go to office hours, and they can actually create relationships, which is the measure of a successful college student. Yeah. I believe this is the last one. Go ahead. Okay.
How would you start that relationship with their teacher?
Teacher you already had or teacher you're about to have?
About to have.
Do well in the class. Talk to them outside of class about the material. Come up with their own projects that they can help you with. It could be your own paper. Like I've had students work on their own publishable paper. It could be very preliminary. It doesn't matter, right? To create some reason for you to have that relationship together, and then that grows over time. Cool. That's our time. Thanks for your attention. If you have any questions, get me up here in camp. It's my favorite topic to talk about.